Hello, welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Join me on all my live streams, Twitter, and all that stuff in the description in the comments. So while we're biking this path, or using the footage from my biking tour this weekend, we're actually going to talk about, can $400 billion come into crypto from these hedge fund managers or these asset managers? And we have inspiration from this guy called Paul Tudor. He is a billionaire. But more than that, he actually manages a bunch of funds. And we know that one of his funds, he actually invested in Bitcoin. Not quite Bitcoin, but Bitcoin futures. And we'll talk about that in a while, why it's not the same thing. So he actually revealed today that it was roughly 1 to 2% of all his fund assets. So 1 to 2%, he invested that much into crypto. But if you look at all the top asset managers, they manage about $42 trillion worth of assets. That's right, $42 trillion. 1% of 42 trillion is $420 billion. It's a lot of money, man. A lot of money. And right now, the entire crypto market cap's in the 200 billions era. And that doesn't mean like if you pump $400 billion into it, it'll go up to like 700 billion. That's not true. Because obviously, because there's 200 billion in it, that doesn't actually mean there's $200 billion actually in crypto. If you actually just sell a couple of billion in it, it will crash it down extremely hard, very, very close to nil. Likewise, if you pump suddenly 10 or 20 billion dollars into crypto, it might actually rise the market cap close to $1 trillion. I mean, the multiplier is honestly that big in crypto. So if they randomly pump 400 billion up to it, it would actually go to several trillion dollars. So we're looking at that kind of increase. That's the moon you want. That's the Lambo you want. Now, if they buy in slowly, it won't be nearly that much. But if they pump all at once, it could explode the market, which is exactly what we're hoping. Now, that's only 1%. Basically, if all asset fund managers basically just follow Paul Jones' example, that's what we would get. That massive influx into crypto that we're actually looking for. But let's actually explore it. So pump your brakes, man. Pump your brakes. Because he actually only has Bitcoin futures in his assets, not actual Bitcoin. So he doesn't have physical Bitcoin, and people can either short or long Bitcoin, so they can actually bet against Bitcoin as much betting for Bitcoin. But you know what? I bet those asset managers eventually will want to hold the physical thing. You know, like the COMEX rule, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So that actually might be true for Bitcoin too. Although it is a little weird for Bitcoin because it's not tangible, and you can't actually hold it in your hand like gold. But I think they will actually want the Bitcoin rather than just futures in going down the line. So like, even if they dump like half of 1% into actual physical futures, or even like 0.1%, that's still $20 billion. And a sudden $20 billion injection into crypto could easily pump it several times what it is if they do it all at once. So what I'm really, really hoping is that they'll see Paul Tudor Jones, a couple more fund managers will slowly trickle into crypto. And then the rest will see it and they'll try to jump in all at once. The OTC market will dry up and they'll have to buy on the market, which would push the price up several times to what it is. Actually, that's sort of how I think the next bull run might actually happen. It might be a combination of that and retail investors. So a couple of these early asset managers like Paul Tudor slowly start to buy a bit of crypto. It gets leaked out into the asset fund managers that some are buying crypto. The rest don't want to miss out. So all of them try to buy around the same time. That gets the FOMO started. The retailers see it and they all FOMO at the same time. And that erupts crypto to over $1 trillion market cap. Because I do think that's one of the few ways it can happen. If you slowly trickle in and you let the buys and sells balance out, you won't get that kind of a rise. But if you suddenly buy in and then have the FOMO on top of it, you can get several $1 trillion in terms of market cap. Now, it won't be ROI the same as last time. It won't be like 30, 40, 50x. It'll probably be more of like, 2 or 3x the last maximum. So roughly $50,000 to $100,000. Bitcoin is what I'm actually guessing. I know a lot of the stock to flow ratios actually have it more than that. I just don't think it'll actually go to that much. Now, I'm not counting out the possibility it can go to several hundred thousand. I just don't think it will go to several hundred thousand. It's not impossible, but I don't think it's very probable. 50 to 100,000 is sort of where I'm looking at, more in the $50,000, $60,000 range. And I think that's how it can happen. Like some of these guys, like Paul Tudor, they get in first, and a couple of the other asset fund managers don't want to miss out, so they invest just a tiny bit of their cryptocurrency portfolio, or their stock portfolio into Bitcoin. That's enough money to boost this crypto up to over $1 trillion, and that's how we Lambo and Moon. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.